The Human Optimization Podcast is proudly brought to you by Vicon Supplements, where quality meets sustainability. Vicon's all-natural supplements are handcrafted and sustainably produced in Canada, bringing you products that nourish both your well-being and our planet. Visit ViconSupplements.com today and be a part of a greener, healthier future.
Are you ready to embark on a journey to the best version of you? Join me, Lisa Pitel-Killah, as I dive deep into the world of hair tissue mineral analysis and functional medicine with fellow experts, and guide you on the path of unlocking your full potential. As a multi-time kettlebell sport world champion, I'm on a mission to reach high-performance professionals from around the world to help you minimize tiring symptoms, maximize health, and gain unstoppable energy. This is the Human Optimization Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Human Optimization Podcast. I am your host, Lisa Pitel-Killah. I am so intrigued and excited to dive into today's guest and the work that she does, because I have seen firsthand the changes in the children that she works with. Let me tell you a little bit about Mercedes. Mercedes Benadivas is a registered dietitian, a certified LEAP therapist, and a food sensitivity expert. She graduated from Central University of Venezuela, worked as a resident at the Hospital de Clínicas Caracas for 2 years, and then joined a wonderful team in private practice made up of pediatricians, a neurologist, and a specialist in metabolic diseases, where she worked for 8 years. In 2014, moved her entire family to Miami, Florida, where she resumed her nutrition studies, eventually becoming a registered dietitian and nutritionist. In 2017, specialized in food sensitivities, earning that certified LEAP therapist designation. Also proud mother of 4 boys, 2 boys and 2 girls, who have taught her and motivated her to find solutions to the nutritional challenges that almost every child and family face. That's why she based it on textbooks, but also her experience as a mother. Welcome to the show, Mercedes.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. This is an amazing opportunity for me, not only to see you, because it's always amazing to see you, but also to spread the word about nutrition and kids, pediatrics. I think it's very important, especially now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I always love, there's a little bit in your bio, but I always love saying, how did you get here in this particular space, doing what you're doing today? Give us a little background on that.
So my oldest, who is now almost 17 years old, he was diagnosed within the spectrum when he was 2 years old. Back then, we were living in Venezuela. And, when we got the diagnosis, we were like kind of shocked, like, what should we do? Nobody in the family was autistic. So what's going on? So I remember I had like this conversation to myself, like, what can I do to help my child with the tools I have, which was only nutrition. And believe it or not, is when all my journey started, because I started researching and looking for answers. And then is when I put the connection between diet and autism, where I see all the improvements. My son never talked, and then he started talking when he was 3 years and a half, 4 years old.
Yep.
And now he speaks English and Spanish. And he is in 11th grade. He's taking the SAT test.
That's amazing.
So he actually taught me that there is a connection. There is a connection between what we eat and how we feel. And there is a connection between the autism and nutrition. So yes, we got so many therapies, some supplements, but it was basically diet. And a lot of not only dietary changes, but also lifestyle changes. And we need to get everybody involved. By that time, he was only him. But then little by little, someone else add up. So, of course, they actually landed in a family with a whole different perspective, in a mom with a whole different approach.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
And that's how it started with my son.
Well, and to hear where he is today, that is, couldn't have a better success story than that. That's amazing.
I see him studying
Yeah.
and, doing all his independently.
Yep.
Made me cry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's dive in a little bit because you work with a very specific demographic based on that experience. Let's share a little on that. And then I want to dive more into nutrition and some of the things that you've identified that are absolutely critical when
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a child on the spectrum.
But let me tell you, this journey has had different changes throughout the years. At the beginning, we are very attached not only to the diets gluten and casein, and we see gluten and casein as the most inflammatory molecules, and we actually focus on removing, removing, removing. But later on, you realize that, hey, what should I need to add?
Mm,
Not only about removing, it's also about adding. And what are all the ingredients or all the nutrients that are lacking of in your diet. So this has been a journey for sure. So, and little by little, of course, you actually, I think that you filter out the information to give out to your patients and families to make it more realistic, friendly, and doable. Because I
yeah.
think this is the key. We need to make it sustainable, doable, and realistic for all these families. I basically work with families in Latin America, but also living here in America or even in Canada.
Mhm.
And I have to say, with all my respect, that yes, dietary is kind of different in between American families and Latin American families.
Right.
We are more toward cooking from scratch. Mom is used to stay in the house and be on top of their children. I always say the same thing in Spanish, like we are not scared about kitchen. We're not scared. You talk to these families and you tell them what to do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're ready to move forward and they're ready to put into practice all your recommendations.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have different lifestyles, especially when you live in Latin America than when you live in America. And that's also part of the journey. And living now here has given me all the tools to help my family that now live in America when we have less time to cook, the commute hours are
Right.
longer. We
Yeah.
have to deal with not only with the teachers, but also with the therapy centers.
Mhm.
So all these type of things they must be put in the plate and help these families to make dietary changes realistic and
Yep.
doable.
Yep.
So that's what I actually do right now.
That's amazing. And what are, okay, so hold on a second. Let me get my thoughts together. So, one of the things that you talked about was realistic dietary changes because you've identified our society, right? Where we are always on the go and doing all the things. And it needs to be realistic. And I think simple is maybe a bit too simplified, but a little bit more simple
Mhm.
because if it's not, then we feel overwhelmed and then we freeze and we don't do anything.
Absolutely. I think that now we see two different tendencies. The first one is do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And the second one is removing, removing, removing. You can't, you can't, you can't. You're not allowed, you're not allowed, you're not allowed. And these two extremes are
Yeah.
very dangerous. So I think that we need to find the middle point and the middle ground. I think that one is very important. Even though I'm against processed foods and I'm against ultra processed foods, I teach my parents realistically what type of processed food we can actually pick for certain days, especially if your kid is going to school.
Right.
And you know what? Something very important, Lisa. It's not the same working with kids when they are 2 or 3 years old
Hmm.
when you're working with 10, 11, or 12.
Right.
They are two different audiences, even though they have the same diagnosis.
Yeah.
And I can say that because I have four in four different ages, and my speech with each of them, it's absolutely different,
Hmm.
even though the education and the core is the same. So maybe and this is something I teach my parents how to organize in the kitchen, how to
Mm.
organize and how to plan your meal plans, your recipes, your menus ahead of time. I teach them how to use leftovers. And I tell them, you
Amazing.
don't need to wake up at 4:30 a.m. to make a nutritious breakfast if you have some leftovers.
Yep.
So maybe we can use some leftovers to build that high protein, high fat, and moderate carb breakfast. So that's one of the things that they appreciate so much, because sometimes this tendency, the second tendency, like you can't, they push them to live on the edge.
Right.
And that's why they just fall away for maybe 2 or 3, 4 months maximum, and then they just drop off. I can't. It's impossible, and I understand why.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to find that middle point, how to be more organized in the kitchen, how to use wisely your leftovers. But also, we need to teach them the food groups and how to build a balanced plate. So when they know how to build a balanced plate, they know that they don't need to rely on different recipes, or they don't need to follow complicated menus. They know what to put in their plate. What about protein, fat, carbs, all the food sources? And also, when we're talking about snacks, for example, this is actually part of the journey, because snacks is a hot topic.
Yeah.
It is a hot topic, especially when they are going from here to there from school, and they have to take my child, and we are driving 45 minutes to the therapy center. What should I give them? So I also give them options, from scratch options that they can do it while they're doing their breakfast. So they have their snack ready, done, and maybe some processed foods that are more they are healthier. And I'm going to tell you something. When I started with my son 15 years ago, I remember that you couldn't go to the supermarket. We didn't have smarty options.
Right.
We were all that. We didn't have that awareness about, maybe I can have some cheese, but without the flavor. But now we have more options, especially here in America, where I see the struggle. So give them those options. And, I understand the mom. And we are only talking about the child, and nobody talks to the mom. Hello,
Right.
she's waking up very early to cook every single day, but she also has different jobs. She has so many different things to do. So we need to also talk to the mom and make it realistic for her. So I think that help them being more organized in the kitchen, help them how to see food, recipe, and even leftovers in a smarty way. It make all these things more sustainable. So what is your free day, or what day you have extra time? So instead of making one chicken, let's do 2 and freeze one of the chickens, so you have protein for the next week, because I understand that protein takes more time to cook. So we can do those type of things. Or maybe you can have some, I don't know, some starchy vegetables, and the starchy vegetable, just do it on Sunday. Bake them all in a tray and have them ready for the rest of the week, or at least until Wednesday. And maybe we can find easy recipes for dinner time, because it's the busy
That's the
time.
busy. Yeah, that's the
It's the
busy
busy time of the
time.
day. So we can find easy recipes where all the food groups are included without the inflammatory ones.
Yep.
So I think those type of little tricks make the difference.
Absolutely. And I'm a huge proponent of, even when I go to the butcher, every pack, it's just my husband and I. Every
Right.
pack has 4 chicken breasts, or right, and we cook them all. That way we have 2 for dinner and 2 for lunches, right? So we're always cooking ahead. It's just so much easier to do it that way.
And you know what? You're going to laugh. But I also teach them what type of utensils you need to have in your kitchen that are going to make your life easier.
Yep.
For example, the Instant Pot.
It's great.
It's
You can
great.
make bone broth in 6 hours instead of 2 days.
Exactly. Or maybe just a chicken stew or a
Yes.
beef stew in just
Yes.
30 minutes. Your food is going to be ready. The pot is really huge, so you can actually have some leftovers. So I think that's a really good way to, that's why I'm always, when I'm doing my grocery, or when I'm doing my research about kitchen and all these type of utensils, I think it's a very important information that you can share to your patients.
Yep.
Like, hey, maybe you can grab this, or maybe you can buy this for $70 or whatever.
Yep.
And you're going to have a helper.
Absolutely.
I remember when I moved to America, I had 3 little children under 5. And my husband, he used to fly back to Venezuela every 3 weeks, and he used to stay 2 weeks. So I was alone, living 45 minutes away from the school and 45 minutes away from my college. So I used to turn on my Instant Pot in the morning
Yep.
with my chicken, potatoes, carrots, celery, or whatever,
Mhm.
and I set it up in the slow cooker for
Mhm.
8 hours. So
Mhm.
I used to leave it there when I came back home with all my little children
Yep.
starving after
It
driving an
was
hour
ready.
home. Food was ready. So I used to smell the chicken from the hallway. Like,
Oh my
food is
gosh.
ready. So I used
Right?
to do that. And sometimes even at night, I used to place it on something ready. So lunch was ready and
Mhm.
even dinner was ready.
Yep.
So I think organization and plan ahead are the keys. More than
Absolutely.
more than removing and avoiding and
Mhm.
avoiding. I think that when you teach them what to include and what to do, makes everything easier.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's nothing like, so I'm a big stew person and I'm a big eat dinner for breakfast. Like that, if I had a t-shirt, I'd be wearing it right now. But you know what I love? I love putting a roast in. So I have a Instapot and 2 slow cookers. And
Okay.
on Sundays in our winter time, which is now it's cold and snowing and whatever, I usually have all 3 going on Sunday. But
Absolutely.
every once in a while, I'll put a roast on and I'll put it on at bedtime and it cooks all night, right? And there's nothing better than waking up in the morning and just smelling that. It's like, oh,
Oh,
right? And
please.
then you've got fresh lunch. You can even eat it for again, I'm a big stew person for breakfast. So I eat
Me too.
roast for
Me
breakfast,
too.
right?
Same
So
here.
yeah, so nothing better than waking up to that beautiful smell.
Yes, just a little. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'm sleeping and I wake up in the middle of that. My breakfast is gonna be
That I
cooking.
know, right? Too
Yeah, I'm
funny.
I'm like you. Yeah, same
I
thing.
love it. I love
Yeah,
it. Well, and you mentioned gluten and casein, right? A lot of people I feel like are a bit maybe even uncertain as to what they really do when you're consuming those, especially when they're causing inflammation in the body. Can you talk a little bit more about that so that
absolutely.
parents
Can I
understand?
give this example I
Yeah.
give to patients? I always explain this to them. These are two molecules, and
Hmm.
this is the gluten molecule, and this is the casein or dairy
Hmm.
molecule.
Hmm.
As you can see, they are the same shape, the same size, and the same weight.
Hmm.
The problem with these two big molecules is that they are very aggressive to the immune system and the gut lining. So these two has the capacity to cross the bloodstream and go into the brain barrier and cause all these mood disorders and behavior issues and sleep issues. But they also destroy the gut lining. So that's why you see all the gastrointestinal problems.
Yeah.
So the truth is that if you remove only one, you're still having the other one. And this other one is going to still attacking your immune system. And this is the reason why many families, they don't see any improvements when they just remove dairy or they just remove gluten. So this is the reason why these two has to be removed, because these two has the capacity to attack the immune system. That's why asthma attack, eczema, they get cold all the
Yep.
time and they end up with antibiotics, ear infections, throat infections. But they are also the reason why constipation, diarrhea,
Yep.
abdominal pain, cramping, bloating, they're all the same. This is the same problem. So
Hmm.
that's why these two needs to be removed, because they are considered inflammatory foods. And something very important about these two is when we're picking processed foods,
Hmm.
because sometimes we pick something that is gluten-free and casein-free and free, but it tastes delicious. Scary. That's very scary. Because try to make a cake in your house without gluten, casein, eggs, sugar, blah, 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 free.
Yeah. You
Nothing is going
can't.
to happen. So it's
It's going to be cardboard.
exactly. So probably that cookie that is free has
Yep.
other ingredients that are going to affect the gut lining. And they are also the reason behind you can't see much improvement.
Right.
So that's when cooking from scratch and going back to the roots are very important.
Yeah. And, keeping it simple is something that I share often, which you've touched on, but it's like one ingredient. Like an apple's an
Mhm.
apple, a banana's a banana.
And meat.
If it has one name, right, then that's a whole food. That's what the main staples of the diet should consist of.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, and so talking about, I want to get into a little bit of therapy because that's a really important part. If we have parents listening with children on the spectrum. Um, but I also want to dive into, because you use a lot of initial minerals, drops, and things like that to be able to support the body. And then you also do some hair analysis testing. Tell us about that, and with regards to kind of how you discovered that and then fit it into your practice and what you're seeing based on those implementations.
So let me tell you, doing the hair meta-analysis along with the right supplementation has been a game changer. Even though we are working on this in nutrition intervention, and we help all this family to see nutrition from a different perspective, and we actually help them achieve dietary changes. We cannot ignore the fact that most of these kids have different deficiencies for so long.
Right.
And they're also picky eaters, and we are still working on that. Most of the picky eaters they have sensory issues, and they are working with the therapy as well and nutrition. But bringing the right supplementation, knowing all the deficiencies, are going to be that piece of the puzzle that is going to actually push them forward.
Yep.
So the fact that we can actually test all the deficiencies and where all the heavy metals are coming from, and we can actually customize their supplement just for them with the right ingredients, with the right amount, with the right vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. They it actually help them get so much better,
Hmm.
and we can actually take it to the other side.
Yeah.
And most of my patients, when of course I start with diet, especially
Hmm.
because at the beginning the mom is very overwhelmed
Yep.
with all the information out there, therapies, diagnosis, speech, and the school, blah blah blah. So when they start all this thing at the beginning, and when we move forward and we made the hair meta analysis with the right supplementation, all these parents see a big difference
Amazing.
in mood, sleep, gastrointestinal, skin, hair, especially girls.
Yeah.
Boy, we don't care about the hair. Let's be honest. Yes, they're
Might be
boys.
very short.
Yeah, it's fine. Just shave it. It's fine. He's gonna survive. But what about girls?
Yeah.
The fact that most of the girls I have in my practice, their moms has told me, now the hair is shiny,
Mm.
has more life, is softer. It's because of the right supplementation that
Yeah.
comes after. So that's why these two things, they must be along, and
Yeah.
we need to put them together. But the right supplementation is key, because you see also many parents, they go to the pharmacy or they go to the grocery and they take any multivitamin, and they
Right.
go higher in this vitamin alone because they heard and they saw and they were told that just this vitamin or this multivitamin is great for talking, for the skin health, for the immunity, blah blah blah. But at the end, what actually they don't know is that they all work synergistically. So you can take one more than the other. So that's why having the right supplementation along with diet and therapy, they have been a game changer in my practice.
Yeah.
And I see the difference
Amazing.
every time I meet with them 4 or 5 weeks after we interpret the labs. They tell you, hey, he's doing so much better. He's sleeping better. The school told me, I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing what you're doing. And the therapy as well. And for example, for the ABA, they have different goals that they need to reach at the end of the session.
Hmm.
But most of these parents, they come to me after the supplementation and they say, now their goals have been met, and now we're moving forward to different goals, and now he's going from a regular class, from ED class to regular class. It's a
Wow.
lot for me.
Yeah.
It's
That is
beautiful.
amazing.
It's amazing. And not only that, I have done hair meta-analysis when they just started, because sometimes parents, they push you.
Yep.
And when you see the panel, it's critical.
Yeah.
You don't even know what to say to the parent. But when you do this test, when they have done certain dietary changes, the panel is absolutely different. And
Yep.
you see the difference.
Yep.
This is a panel more doable, easier to explain.
Mm-hmm.
The parent at this time, the stress level and the frustration is almost zero. So they are more open to receive the information and move forward.
Yep.
But certain parents I've had in the past, my daughter is eating well. We don't need dietary changes. And I just want to move forward to the hair analysis. And we do it. You see the difference. And you see how overwhelmed they are when they come back for the interpretation.
Yeah.
Even though you actually filter out that information to make them feel, realistic, but avoid the overwhelming feeling.
Yeah.
Still. So that's why these two need to go together.
Well, and I agree 100%. And it's incredible to realize, people, you're thinking, maybe even people listening going, how does a child that young have, right? Because if anybody's ever seen HTMA, obviously we're looking at patterns, we're looking at levels. How does a child that young have these crazy, insane levels and metals and things like that? But at the end of the day, we see it all the time.
All the time. We used to think that cortisol level or cortisol problems is just for adults. I just want to let you know that it's not right.
Yeah.
I have little children with cortisol problems at very young age.
Wow.
And you see it in the sodium and potassium,
Yep.
sodium and magnesium ratio.
Mm-hmm.
You see it. It's like, oh my gosh, this little child, he's not working.
Yep.
He doesn't know what's going on in the world. No politics, no religion here.
Mm-hmm.
Why they are so stressed?
Yeah.
Why they are so depleted? And one of the things I've seen very often, especially with the cortisol level, sodium and potassium, sodium and magnesium ratio, is all the sensory processing problems they have around in their environment. So that's also something that needs to be addressed along with diet.
Let's dive into that.
Yeah, anytime.
Let's talk about that.
Perfect.
I think that's important.
Yeah. Most of these children, they have sensory processing disorders, and the sound, the colors they have in their environment, either because they go to the therapy center or because they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
All these sensory processing issues, it raises the cortisol level at a very stress level. And that's why when you got the HTMA test, you see sodium and potassium either very high or almost zero.
Yep.
And then when you go for the sodium and sodium and magnesium ratio, you see the stressful level. And it's because of that. So they are they have a lot of sensory issues. Most of them, they are not well addressed with the occupational therapy, with sensory integration disorders.
Yeah.
And poor these kids, the cortisol level is on the roof.
Wow.
Until it finally goes down. So that's why the energy goes down. They are very cranky. They can sleep well.
Yeah.
So that's also part of the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's not only about diet, it's also about the environment.
Yeah.
Not only the sensory, because I can't help them with the sensory issues. They must go to the occupational therapy, specializing in that area, in that particular area,
Mm-hmm.
but also the environment. Take them outside more often.
Yeah.
Not sunlight is going to actually help them with the cortisol level, but also replenishing sodium and potassium and doing the right formula for them to get them to breathe.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they go together.
I agree. And, I think back was a long time ago, mind you, when I was a child, and it's like, oh no, the street lights are on. We have to go in. You know what I mean? Like we were outside all the time. So I can't even imagine, and maybe you can share a little on this, is how screens and things like TikTok and Instagram Reels and these types of things are affecting children.
Don't go that far. Go to the grocery, or going to the grocery
Mm-hmm.
kills me when I see little kids with a pacifier scrolling down in their mom's cell phone.
Oh my gosh.
Don't even, I haven't, don't even touch on social media. That's far. I'm talking about going to the grocery to grab some eggs, vegetables or fruits or whatever,
Mhm.
and you see two little kids still with the pacifier scrolling down mom's cell phone.
My gosh.
And of course, when you try to remove them, they scream. Of course.
Oh yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course. What is
Yes.
going to happen? They're going to say thank you? No, of course not. So yes, unfortunately, screen, LED lights, blue lights are affecting our children.
Hmm.
Children's brain is affected because of all these artificial lights.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a high proponent of taking their children outside
Hmm.
in natural sunlight. And this is about little kids, but if we move forward a little bit and you see
Hmm.
older kids, unfortunately, cell phones, iPads, computers, laptops are part of the school supply.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember one time my oldest, he was using his cell phone at night and I was so mad. And I was like, no, you're not allowed to use your cell phone. So I hide the cell phone for like 2 or 3 days. 2 days after, the school called me, your son is not submitting all the paperwork and all the homework. Again, very mad at him.
Right.
"Oh, you are not doing your homework because you are distracting your cell phone." He looked at me, he said, "You took out my cell phone. I can do my homework."
Oh my goodness. Oh,
I felt so bad. Like,
oh my
oh, Mark,
goodness.
speechless.
Oh
Speechless.
gosh.
So unfortunately, this is part of the school supply. So what I do, and I try to do all the time, as soon as I wake up, I open up my windows, I open up my terrace, so at least they're having natural sunlight when they are
Yep.
having breakfast,
Yep.
which is also very important for the adrenal glands,
Hmm.
mitochondrial cell, and your brain. Because I tell them, you're going to be in front of your computer the whole day.
Yep.
So let's get some natural sunlight. So yeah, unfortunately, that's actually causing the instant reward system, and that's why they get so cranky when they're not in front of these lights and colors and movements
Hmm.
and that all the all the iPads and all these devices
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah. I think about it, I always love visualizing things. And I think about a good um, comparison of extremes, I think we could say, is being, downtown Manhattan in Times Square with all of the billboards and all of the lights and the people and the everything, right? And then going to the country where there isn't even, you're under the stars and the moon, right?
The second one,
Yeah.
I stay with
Yeah.
the second one for sure.
Because your nervous system is just, you're overstimulated all the time, all the time. Yeah.
Now, taking that example about the Times Square in New York, that's exactly how they live right now.
Yeah.
They are surrounded by iPads and cell phones and
Yep.
computers and LED light. This is literally their own Manhattan,
Hmm.
own Times Square.
Yep.
And that's why we see behavior issues, not even in autism. Let's
Hmm.
stop autism
Just
for a while, just
yeah.
for a minute. This is something that we're seeing very often: depression,
Yep.
anxiety,
Yep.
irritability, hyperactivity. So I can't say do not use your cell phone because I have three. My little one is not using cell phone or iPad or anything. She's still very young.
Hmm.
And say do not use them, avoid them, go to the forest. But definitely we need to find different ways to put them out from, their devices at least for a couple of minutes throughout the day.
Yep.
Even if it's just opening the window while they're doing their homework,
Hmm.
that helps.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then
Fresh air.
yeah, just go outside
All yeah, I agree.
as much
I
as you can.
agree. Wow. It's so many things that we now take for granted and we might not even think about until we hear it and go, oh my gosh, that
Mhm.
didn't even dawn on me or register,
Yep.
right? Until we actually think about it. And you talked about, I want to also just touch on before we sign off here, tell everyone what a certified LEAP therapist
Mhm.
is. Share that.
Okay. So sleep therapy is a certification or
Hmm.
training we
Hmm.
do to interpret food sensitivity testing,
Hmm.
especially the MRT test.
Yep.
So, and of course, it has to go along with diet.
Yep.
And we need to, first of all, bring up their chart and understand their background and what they eat and do the weekly food intake at the 24 hours they recall. So that way it's going to help us a lot to understand the results. So
Hmm.
MRT test is a specific test that is actually goes beyond the IgG test, which
Yep.
is the food sensitivity,
Hmm.
instead of IgE, which is food allergies, that tells you how's the immune system reacting to certain ingredients, to certain foods. So the MRT test, they actually split the result in so many different categories. So
Hmm.
the first one is, chemicals and toxins and colorants and food dyes. And then we have vegetables, fruits, we have protein, we have grains, we have cereals, and fat.
Hmm.
So when you have that, you are going to have the results in three different colors: green, yellow, and red. So the ones that are highlighted as red or orange or red or yellow, we need to remove them for at least 3 to 6 months.
Hmm.
And then we have the green ones. So you can go on with the green ones. But very important, when you understand their background and you have their diagnosis and you see what they eat, we need to take with a grain of salt the results,
Right.
because sometimes we see lettuce marked as red.
Hmm.
I don't think a lettuce is a bad guy. Poor lettuce, this beautiful leaf. But when you see maybe other testings like the stool testing, and you see that the zonulin is very high, which is a marker for leaky gut.
Yeah.
Oh, these holes are very wide open. So that's why the poor lettuce is going back to your blood and
Yeah.
it's coming up as a red food. So that's why it's very important not only relying on the testings or the results from the food sensitivity test, but also to have different tools around what they eat, diagnosis, other testings, any supplements they're taking. Sometimes with the
Mm.
with the chemical panel, you see red number 4 and certain other ingredients, or
Mm.
like red or yellow or green or blue and all these food dyes.
Yep.
Okay, so this is now they are very sensitive to all the processed foods.
Yep.
And most of the preservatives we see in processed foods, they also come up. So
Mm.
this is one of the things. And when you see all these markers high, oh,
Then
they
it triggers. Yeah. Then it
yeah,
triggers. Yeah.
why the leaky gut? That's why the behavior issue. So it's literally putting all the pieces together, not just one.
Mm.
Very important.
Yeah.
But yes, the food sensitivity panel for the MRT test,
Hmm.
a lot, not only to understand, but also to give maybe, extra recommendations to families. And not only that, sometimes we need these testings and these numbers for the school
Mm.
so they can actually comply with the diet. They can help
Absolutely.
us with diet. Like,
Yeah.
the results, my son is not allowed to eat 1, 2, 3. So just be aware that I'm going to bring food from home on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
and we'll finish off here, but I remember we had a conversation. I can't remember how long ago it was, but you had a case
Oh
where
my,
the child's symptoms came back. And I remember it was because they were giving him a cookie, or him or she, or he or she, a cookie at school, and nobody knew, right? I totally remember that. And I was like, oh my goodness.
not only that, the school had a meeting with the family because they considered he needed medication.
Oh
So
my
the mom
goodness.
she was literally so afraid, because this is also a reality for Latin American families, especially
Hmm.
when they don't have a good English or they don't understand the system. They get so scared and they just
Right.
go through. And so this mom, she was actually making an appointment with a neurologist for the medication. So in the middle, I saw her and she explained to me what happened. And I told her, okay, just wait a minute. This beautiful kid has amazing all this time.
Hmm.
This reaction it's kind of weird. So let's
Mhm.
just go back to the school, ask them many times, 1,000 times if you need, to see if something is going on in school. Like 2 weeks later, she called me. You were right. They were filling up with cookies and juice, artificial juices. When they stopped, the kid went back to normal. No medication needed.
Sugar. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It just shows you the power of food, and even coming back to the power of processed foods and sugars and things like that, right? And how they can be a detriment to us.
Absolutely. Very
Wild.
important.
Wild. Wow. Well, Mercedes, I've known you for a long time. I know the amazing work that you do with all these families,
Your help.
and I'm just so happy you came on the show to share, because this is such amazing information. Everybody should know this.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And let me tell you, you have been a very important piece of the puzzle, because without your understanding about, how to understand minerals and vitamins and their relationship between them, because it couldn't be possible.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think
Thank you.
we do a good match.
I agree 100%. I agree
Yeah, without
100%.
your help, trust me, most of my testimonies are coming from there, from the supplementation, the right supplements at
Yeah,
the right time, understanding what's behind every single number. It's also very meaningful.
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is the reason we both get out of bed every day, right? To have this feedback and see these
Abs-
changes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, thanks for being with us and sharing. That was amazing. And for those of you listening or watching, you can follow Mercedes on Instagram at foodtrition_life. And we'll have that link in the description as well, for all kinds of tips and all kinds of educational information. So follow her on Instagram. Again, it's foodtrition_life. And thank you for listening today to the show. If you're tuning in on YouTube, thanks for watching. Make sure you give this episode a thumbs up. And we appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you all next time.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks for joining us today on the Human Optimization Podcast. Episode technical production is by Grace Sylvester and guest booking by Stu Tate. Want to learn more? Visit lisapitel-killah.com for incredible free resources to supercharge your journey to becoming the best version of you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to the Human Optimization Podcast and follow me on social media at Lisa Pitel-Killah.